Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing an acrylic painting on a 12 by 12 inch sized pre-gessoed board. I got a request to see a weeping willow tree painted, and when I was researching weeping willow trees, I found the most beautiful image of a weeping willow tree next to a cottage overlooking a pond, and I got so excited I really wanted to paint it. So that's what we're going to be doing today in this time-lapse video. But I'm going to do another video that's going to be a step-by-step tutorial explainer video on how to paint a weeping willow tree. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I did was I cropped the image down in my computer. That way I could ignore the parts of the image that I wasn't going to be painting. And then I sketched out just mainly the horizon and the cottage. And then I just went for it. And I decided that I wanted the sky to be a little bit more dramatic than what was in the image. And the idea came, why don't I paint a little moon in there too? So I ended up doing a little moon as well. But I did spend quite a bit of time playing around with the colors in the sky. And it's, so when I was back in college, okay, so when I first started to paint, I would always paint with lots of really, really bright colors and kind of just embraced a lot of color. And when I went to college, a lot of the professors that I had taught me to use more muted tones, and so I always have this sort of internal struggle because I love lots of color, things, for things to be really, really colorful, but then I hear my professors' voices telling me, okay, muted tones. I had one professor say that the colors that people usually like are Banana Republic colors. And he's like, what that means is when you go into Banana Republic, you look around and they don't have a lot of bright colors. And this was a long time ago when he said this, so I don't know if that's changed because I don't really shop that much at Banana Republic, if ever. But anyways, so more muted tones, lower saturation. So whenever I get really excited to paint with pinks and brighter blues and yellows, but then I have to try to control myself. This little moon, what I ended up doing, I saw a really great tutorial on how to do an easy moon, but I ended up just doing it, a different way. But his name is Ian. He's on, I'll have to link the tutorial that I saw in the description, because if you're painting a moon and it gives you a hard time, I really like his idea. What he ended up doing was he cut out a circle on some kind of like projector paper, like that plastic projector paper, and then he just painted into the circle. What I did was I just used the cap of one of my paint bottles and then drew it in pencil right onto the painting, and then painted part of the circle in. I wanted to do the house because I wanted to make sure that I could get some foliage covering it and all of that. So when you're painting, it's a good idea to look at, okay, what's in back of what? So I could have probably done the trees, but I wasn't sure how high the house is going to go. And with this foliage back here, I'm just dotting it really loosely. And I have this brush that I really like. It's some kind of Mongolian sable brush, and it just gives the perfect little dab for foliage. If you angle it in different ways, the foliage will look different. So, and then when I first put in the weeping willow tree, I really liked it. I thought, oh, this is kind of a cool silhouette look, but I wanted the leaves on the weeping willow to kind of stand out a little bit more and not to just be a super dark painting. So I'm going to end up filling in pretty much all of that pink that you see. It's going to be filled in later on, which is okay. I felt like I always get really afraid that my paintings look too girly. I had one teacher tell me that my painting, he's like, that painting definitely looks like a girl painted it. And I was like, why? He's like, well, men don't usually use that much pink. So I always try to be really careful not to use too much pink. Obviously some things are pink, like flowers, and but if you can decide to not overdo it, or at least for me, I try to keep all of that in mind when I'm painting. I've seen that some people really, really do not like to paint foliage. And I think what I would tell people that say that they do not like painting foliage is that they just need to give it a try and just to relax and don't think so hard about it, because foliage isn't like a portrait of a person. It doesn't need to be perfect. It can just kind of be. If you look outside, the plants are just, the vines and the foliage just grows the way it grows, and it's, it doesn't have to be a perfect way, and if the wind blows, it changes, so just give it a shot, and you'll be able to relax more the more you've done it. So in the dark part of the water, I mainly just use Mars Black mixed with Sap Green, because that is the darkest part of all of the foliage. That's what I used in the darkest parts of the foliage too. You can see my cell phone charger. Okay, better. And one thing I started to do is I wanted to really emphasize those pretty soft leaves on that weeping willow tree. So I would go in and I would add the darks back in and add the lights back in when it would start to get too light. Okay, I'm going to let you in on a weird little quirky thing that I had thought for a long, long time. And that is that I shouldn't ever turn a canvas or a paper or whatever it is I'm drawing just to do a certain part of it. And the reason why I invented this rule for myself is because sometimes you're not able to turn your canvas. Like, let's say you're working on a really, really big piece of artwork. I couldn't turn like a 4x5 foot sized canvas or board just to get some little angle or some little line that I wanted. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to allow that be a crutch. I'm going to try really hard to always keep the canvas in the same spot. That way I can get really good at doing awkward angles without having to move it. But the other day I was watching a tutorial by Angela Anderson, I think that's her name, on YouTube. And I was like, I wonder how she's going to get that little angle right there, because it would be so easy to turn. And she turned her canvas, and I thought, why have I been such a weirdo about that? And it kind of like made me think about like what other kinds of strange little rules I've set up for myself that, nobody ever told me to do those rules or to make those rules for myself. And why have I been, so silly about them? I don't know. Do you guys have rules like that you've made up that you just decided that you wouldn't do? Oh, here I thought I would want to put a duck in, but I didn't want to put the same duck that was in the foreground. They actually did have a little white duck in the background of that picture, and so I decided I'm going to put a little duck in here too. I felt like it added a little bit of life to have that duck in there. Though you probably can't hardly even notice him that much, but he made me happy. And here I'm just going around, and honestly, this is another little strange thing that I do sometimes, is I'll take a picture with my cell phone to send it to my family, and then I'll see different things and then I'll fix it after I take the picture. So I don't know if that's a tip, but that's what I do. And there it is. So I decided to put in some little orange flowers. You can't really see them from far away, but if you look really closely, you can see them there. And also there's the duck. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and comment below. Let me know what you'd like to see me paint next. I love to hear from you all. I love knowing where you're from and what kinds of art projects you've been up to. So comment below and say hi. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.